Online ahead of the big one tomorrow, England v Wales at Twickenham. Simon Thomas and Gareth Griffiths, our rugby correspondents, are with us live from Twickenham right now, ahead of tomorrow's game. How are you both, chaps?
Well, we're looking very cosy here, John, aren't we?
Thank you.
Very cosy.
You are indeed. You look tired. Have you been working hard, have you? Or?
Let's not go there, John.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I mean, it's really building now, isn't it? 24 hours or so until the game. Give us a sense of the colour and the atmosphere from down there.
Well, just to sort of run you through our week, really. We've been here since last Sunday, sort of going back and forth into the Surrey countryside, both to Wales's base in Sunbury and Weybridge, and to England's base in Pennyhill Park and Bagshot. Now we're at the real thing. We're at Twickenham. We're actually in the cafe downstairs here, and the Welsh press have descended today to hear the last thoughts from the Welsh and the English camp, and also to pick up their packed lunches, John. And yeah, I think there's a real buzz building here. It's been interesting, just trying to get an idea of the mood within the respective camps. I think it's fair to say, Gareth, it's like quiet confidence in both camps. Would you say that?
It is, yeah. I've just been at the England press conference, their final press conference before the game. Graham Rowntree, Owen Farrell having to answer a lot of questions about his selection ahead of George Ford. Graham Rowntree in a very bullish mood. He said that Wales will be coming here with major doubts because they've lost their last 2 games against England, but he also says he respects and he knows Warren Gatland's team very well. So it is building very nicely. We've got Dan Biggo and Neil Jenkins to face the media in an hour. So that'll be the last one. All the talking will be done, and then it'll be game on tomorrow at 8 p.m.
Let's talk about the teams. And obviously the England selection was the big talking point of the week. You mentioned Owen Farrell in there and Sam Burgess as well. What have you made of that, Simon? Does it make them stronger or weaker?
Well, it's different, isn't it? I mean, I think we've coined the phrase ourselves. It's welcome to the bish bash posh midfield. It's very different. If you think back to Cardiff in February, it was a midfield of Ford, Burrell and Jonathan Joseph. Gatland himself this week said that it was the quick feet and pace of that midfield trio that caused difficulties for Wales. So I don't think they're going to be totally devastated to see a Farrell Burgess Barrett midfield. I mean, you know what's coming there, don't you? It's going to be physical, it's going to be confrontational. Some of the collisions there, you just think of Burgess against Jamie Roberts, that won't be one for the faint-hearted. So yeah, it'll be very much a test of the defensive mettle of Wales, but I think they generally would prefer that full-on, head-on collision rather than the dancing feet of the likes of Joseph and the creativity of Ford. So I don't think they're sort of too disappointed.
Gaz, you were with England yesterday at Stuart Lancaster's team announcement. How did he handle the media and the questions? Because there's been a little bit of uproar in the media, isn't there, by his choices?
Yeah, there was. I mean, this is the most controversial selection of his time here. He handled it very, very measured as he is. He doesn't, he just sort of answered every question he was given about whether Ford being dropped and Farrell coming in was a gamble. Burgess, is he ready? He accepted not the criticism but the questioning of his selection, and he knows that he'll stand by fall by what happens on Saturday night. He's a very calm man, Stuart Lancaster. He doesn't get riled very quickly, and he seemed to sort of take it on board. But as he said, it's my selection, and I'll be judged yay or nay whether it goes well against Wales.
And what about the Burgess incident, Gaz? Did he not know who Scott Williams was? Was he being mischievous?
I don't know. I think it depends on. There's been a couple of different interpretations when people sitting next to each other on that. Some said that he didn't know who he was. My interpretation was that he knew exactly who he was, and Scott Williams had said some things 24 hours before about not wanting to face Jonathan Joseph. He got asked about that, and it was just a little sort of who are you? That sort of thing. That was my interpretation. He might say different.
John, I've watched it a few times in the video. I wasn't there. I was over with the Wales, but then I've seen it. I'm sort of torn. 1 minute I think he did. 1 minute I don't. I just think the little smirk. That's the thing that's just a little smirk after he said it. Listen, it's all good knockabout stuff, all good banter. Scott Williams has said some things the day before, but he was glad he wasn't facing Jonathan Joseph. It all builds and all adds to the spice, and we're not complaining, are we, John?
Absolutely not. About Burgess then, Simon. English fans would have monitored his progress quite a bit. Welsh fans maybe not so much. How good is he?
It's funny, I've just been doing the pre-match head-to-head ratings, and I wrote in there that if this was rugby league, you'd be getting 9. But this isn't rugby league. It's a different sport. Burgess has only been in the game, was it 10 months, guys? I think something like that, and started originally in the back row. That experiment didn't work. This is only his second test start. I mean, he's a huge physical specimen. and when he carries forward, he carries with real purpose. But centre is such a technical area, especially defensively. It's a big ask. I mean, the boy's not lacking confidence, and you wouldn't when you're one of the best in the world in your sport. You're going to have confidence, and I think he relishes this challenge, and he won't shirk from a single thing. But he is still a novice at international test rugby, and I think that has to be recognised. He's up against the man who I think this weekend, Gareth, becomes the most capped world centre of all time.
He does, yeah. Jamie Roberts, he's a big match player, Jamie Roberts, as well. I mean, he said before he peaks every 2 years for World Cup and Lions Tour, and he has done that since he came on the scene in 2009. So, he will have his hands full. Roberts will be open, he gets more of the ball in his hands, and is running at foul and getting Wales over that gain line. But yeah, it's going to be a clash of the titans between Roberts and Burgess tomorrow night.
Let's focus a bit on Wales then. Simon, you were with Wales yesterday. You enjoyed the press conference, didn't you, yesterday?
Life in the front row of a Warren Gatland press conference can be an interesting life. He was very combative. I think if Wales can show the same kind of defiance and resolve when they take on England, then it bodes well. And that the tone was set straight away when he was confronted about the statement from World Rugby regarding the additional players used in training. There was no backing down from the Kiwi. It was all out, guns blazing. We've done nothing wrong, and it really set the tone for the rest of the press conference. I mean, it wasn't bullishness or arrogance or cockiness. Here was a man, though, who was quite happy to stand up proudly with his track record. One of the questions from one of the London journalists was, you haven't got that great record at Twickenham, to which he replied, well, I've won 3 Premiership titles in the Heineken Cup there, so it's not too bad. And he also pointed to the fact that Wales during his era, overall against England, is 5-5, and to which he added the little caveat, which isn't bad against the biggest and richest union in the world. So the lines were flying out left, right and centre. It was good fun. It was Gatland at his most combative best, really, unwavering best. And hopefully that trend and that tone will carry out with his team on Saturday, because we all know this is a game where you've got to be at your absolute best to win.
Let's look at the Wales team selection. Maybe we'll go into it with a couple of comments from some of the readers. Peter Hughes, Gaz, saying here, what do you think of the Tipperick situation? Seems such a waste of talent. Obviously, Justin dropped Dan Lydiate in. Not really a surprise, but what do you make of it?
Well, I think that they were all, I said they were always going to go for this. Tipperick's had 3 excellent games in the last few weeks. And I mean, there seemed to be a hint yesterday that they were actually considering putting Tipperick in from the start. What he does give you is give you that off the bench after about 45 minutes to come on for Lydiate. And it's similar to the open side debate. People say 4 don't go into 3. I think what Wales should look at it is as they've got 4 world-class back rowers and they've got them all to make an impact. And that bench is going to be key. I mean, Wales have got some players on that bench like Luke Charteris, Justin Tipperick, Ken Owens, who can make an impact with the forwards, and I think that's the role that Tipperick will do tomorrow. I mean, Lydiate, he's obviously got a lot ahead of him. He plays a blind side. They see him as so pivotal in that defensive line, especially tomorrow, stopping Billy Vunipola and the fringes, stopping him getting over the gain line. And I think he can do that job for 40, 50, 60 minutes, and then Tipperick can come on and help come up and help change the game maybe in that final half hour.
Yeah, I think that's good. Those are good points. I did sense though yesterday, on the way that Gatland talked, that in his time when all 4 of those back rowers have been available, this is perhaps the closest he's come to picking Tipperick. And he said he made a point of going to speak to Justin, saying that he'd been man of the match, I think, in 2 of the 3 warm-up games. And I think he really wanted to stress how hard Tipperick has been pressing. And he just said, all I'd ask of you is keep on pressing, keep on making our life difficult. And it's a wonderful judgment. Let's look at it, to be honest. England haven't got a genuine open side in the team. Wales have got 2 of the best in the world. It's a nice situation to have. But I think generally, as Gareth said, throughout the era of the last 4 years, since 2011, the Lydiate, Warburton, Faletau back row unit has been so effective for Wales. We know what it's about. It's about Lydiate getting people down quickly, and then Warburton, with the support of Gethin Jenkins, over the ball, winning the turnovers, winning the penalties. It's a template that's worked. And when that complements a strong platform up front, then Wales tend to do very well. And that's the game plan we're going to see this weekend.
It's one of the biggest Welsh packs I think we probably have. Is that
why
Brad's been there for that extra grunt, as it were?
Yeah.
Yes, it is. I think because he was excellent against Ireland in Dublin. He's come back. He's played very well for Wales in the past. His problem's been he's got injured and got suspended at the wrong times. Gatland's a big fan of his. He provides that go forward. To get ahead of Charteris, who was so pivotal in the Six Nations towards the end, stopping the defensive maul, making the tackles. You obviously see Bradley perhaps to do a similar sort of thing to Lydiard, 50-minute shift. And then Charteris to come on, or there are obviously fears about Alan Wynne-Jones's fitness after his knee, so they've got the options there. Wales are strong at lock at the moment. It's one of the departments. Jake Ball didn't make the 23. It's one of the departments where they are strong at the moment. But he's gone for that extra grunt with Bradley, and maybe not just with regards to his work in the loose, but also the scrum, which is going to be key. As that tight lock that he'll play with Alan Wynne playing at 5.
Yeah, you think about that Uruguay game. Obviously, you can't read too much into that. But you look at the way the Wales played. They started off the game. They went wide very early on. It didn't quite work. They got turned over, offloads went to ground, and they reverted then to a very forward-orientated game. And the pick and go and power up front. And Bradley fits into that. Jake Ball did a key role in that game. Bradley will do that. I think you'll see a lot of those pick and goes around the close areas. They will look to take England on at the scrum. They will look to take them on with carrying in close quarters, and they will certainly look to take them on at the breakdown. And those areas, Wales can get in top, and a couple of those are ideally all three. That's the recipe to success.
Simon, a comment here from P. Harvey, who says his main concern is the front row. What do you make of the scrummaging battle? Obviously, Thomas Francis in there. Concerns from an England perspective about Joe Marler, and I suppose we've had our own about Gethin Jenkins in recent times. Who's got the upper hand there?
Well, we'll start with the fact that Samson Lee's not playing. When that was explained by Warren Gatland yesterday, it was on the basis that he's still got a little bit of residual pain in his heel, because obviously, he's come back from a very serious Achilles heel rupture. He's still suffering a little bit from that, and they've decided as a result of that, they're going to go with Thomas Francis. I don't think Wales lose a huge amount in the scrummaging stakes. I mean, this is a big boy, a big, strong scrummager. People who watch the Viva Premiership will have seen how well he's played for Exeter. I remember in particular game against Cobiciero, fine loose head, probably. He had in all shapes. He's a good scrummager. Obviously, there have been questions about his fitness, but Wales have worked hard on that. He's slimmed down, and he will be a solid presence there. And then you've got Samson Lee to come on maybe 45, 50 minutes. It's a really good double act. I don't have great concerns there. Loosehead, slightly different situation. Think back to the last time Gethin Jenkins played against England at Twickenham under the refereeing of Jérôme Garcès, the Frenchman who was in charge this weekend. Sorry, the Millennium. Yes, sorry. Garcés took a particular, dislike to the way that Gethin was scrummaging in that match. And I think if memory serves you right, after he got yellow carded, Gethin said to the management, "It's best if I stay off," because he's finding fault with me. They didn't agree with the officiating, so they will have looked at that. They will have studied that game. They will have studied the way the Garcés referees, and Gethin in particular will be able to prove a point about his scrummaging. The one concern for me that if things did go a bit pear-shaped and you had a problem again, you don't have the security blanket of Paul James on the bench. He's solid scrummaging because he's got this calf problem. Aaron Jarvis is covering loose, and essentially Aaron is a tighter, although he has played in the loose. So I think Gethin holding up and satisfying Monsieur Garcés is massive to this game.
What about the officials? There's a comment here from 4D Boy who says French refs notoriously favour the home team. Do you think Garcés will do that? An outrageous accusation there, but what do you think about the officials? I think we've got French touch judges as well. I think Romain Poit is on there.
Yeah, I think French referee will make a decision early on in terms of the scrum about who's on top, and he will reward the dominant scrum. That's what they tend to do. Jérôme Garcés, I think, refereed last week. He had an excellent game, I think, when he was on the first round of matches. Which I think he did the Japan-South Africa game. And,
I think Garcés is the strongest challenger for Nigel Owens for the final person. Yeah? He's a very good referee, and what he does, he's not afraid to make a decision at the scrum. He's got confidence in his own ability to make the right call there. And Gareth is absolutely right. It's essential to try and set your stall out of the scrum, scrummage strongly, scrummage straight, and scrummage fairly. You can do that, get him on side, and make him believe that you're on top. Well, you can make hay then.
Yeah, I just hope, he refereed, as I say, the last game between England and Wales and Cardiff. We just hope that the result is not the same.
Yeah.
Indeed. Let's look at the glamour boys then in the backs, the back three. Another question here from DL Thomas. How important do you think the battle at fullback will be? And what do you think of the selection of Amos, North, Williams, and how will they get on against their counterparts?
Yeah, well, with Mike Brown's just been up here, hasn't he? He's been talking now, and I mean, I think he has hit peak form again, right on cue for this World Cup. I think he was excellent against Fiji. I think he beat 11 defenders, I mean, 191 meters. You know, he always seems to beat the first man. So I think Wales cannot afford to kick loosely to him. Given the kind of rather stoic midfield England have gone for, I don't think the ball is going to go flying out to the back three through hands. So we don't want to be giving them any ball by kicking to them. Liam Williams is back for Wales, which is a massive boost after his injury issues. It's a big call, isn't it? 'Cause he's had so little rugby since the end of last season. But when he's on song, he's just as much of an attacking threat as Mike Brown is. So I think that's a intriguing battle there. Of course, a lot of focus with Wales is on Hallam Amos. What a big day for the young man. He's 21 this week. Best birthday present he could ask for. You know, he's a talented boy. He's quick. He's got good feet. But this is a tough place to do your international learning. So all I can say is good luck to the lad and fingers crossed for him, because he is a talent. Let's hope it comes through.
Yeah, right decision that in terms of selection. Amos ahead of Cuthbert. Gatland have much choice given the Cuthbert's wretched form of recent months.
No, it's the right decision. They've given Alex Cuthbert 4 games to get his way into format. Hallam Amos played well against Uruguay, albeit against a much smaller side in terms of stature. He is the right selection. He's the man on form.
Left boot as well. Left boot was stressed. Yeah.
The only thing the only concern about Hallam is he's never played in a game of anything near this magnitude. He has been involved with Wales against the small nations. Uruguay would have been the biggest crowd he played against. This is a baptism of fire for him, and you know that Ben Youngs will test him early on. He'll have Watson going up against him. He'll have Mike Brown going up the high ball. So how he copes with that will be key. And then he does offer Wales something off. He's got quick feet, and it'll be an interesting battle between him and Anthony Watson.
I don't actually ever worry about him under the high ball, because he's got a fullback's instincts under there. I think he's very secure. He's got a good spring on him. It's just whether he can cope with the whole occasion. If he does that, the boy's got the natural talent to do a job. It's a big test, though, because England have got good wings, but we haven't mentioned George North yet, have we? I just sense that George North is going to have a massive, massive game this weekend. He likes the big stage. Last World Cup, Lions Tour. I think he's going to be a pivotal man for Wales. If they can get him on the ball, and get him running, and get him freed, well, I think that's going to be a big, big factor.
I mean, we've barely really seen him since March, have we? Apart from the one game. Do you think that whole situation will have any impact on him? You know, in a game of this physicality, this magnitude.
I should ask Mr. Luke Broadley, the Wales press manager. He's just arrived to take a picture of us, his thoughts now, but now he's quickly disappeared. Let's be serious about this. We all had major concerns about George at the end of last season over the summer. You know, he had, was it 3 concussions, I think, you know, in a reasonably short space of time. And, you know, horrible to watch, really. And it's fantastic to have seen him come through and pass all the tests. Wales have, you know, given him every time they can, and they've really been cautious with him, giving him as much time off as possible. And I just sensed, you know, in the warm-up games, there was just signs of him really coming back, you know, to some of his best form. And if he can hit the ground running at this tournament, he's a mighty weapon to have. He really is.
And remember, this was the stage 4 years ago where George North announced himself to the rugby world on the World Cup in New Zealand. He was just immense as a teenager during that tournament. You know, he was outstanding. He was part of that sort of new generation of Welsh player. He's still only, what, 23, is he? I think, coming through.
It's incredible, 50 caps.
50 caps. So he is key to Wales, especially given the fact that Alex Cuthbert's not there at the moment. They've lost Lee Halfpenny. There's issues about Liam Williams' fitness because he hasn't played. That back three, he is integral to it. If Wales can get him involved, he can get off his wing and he can get them running in the midfield. He can really help Jamie Roberts give Wales that go forward that they need.
The other one we haven't spoken about, John, is Gareth Davies. I mean, it's a big, big game for him. Obviously, the loss of Rhys Webb was a massive blow for Wales. And this is only Gareth's second test start. You know, and I like Hallam Amos. It's a big, big call. But I thought against Uruguay in that second half, he really grew into the game. You started to see the running threat he can offer. And if Wales do get front football, this boy won't be afraid to take on the defence. Obviously, a lot will be interested to see how his kicking game goes. But, I mean, let's not forget, you know, a year, 16 months ago, he was pushing Rhys Webb really within the Welsh squad before he got injured. And like Webb, he's got an eye for the try line. Spiky character. There's a bit of Mike Phillips in him. There's a bit of Rhys Webb in him. This is going to be interesting. And I think he, as long as he can handle the occasion, because he's quite a quiet young lad, as long as he can rise to it, he could be crucial for Wales tomorrow.
You mentioned Mike Phillips there. Tom just saying that he believes Mike Phillips should be starting. I noticed Shane Williams said he would definitely have had him on the bench for this kind of game. Do you go along with that, Gaz?
No, because I'll tell you why. Because if they weren't going to involve him in the first 3 scrum halves in Wales in the initial pick, then they would have gone for this anyway. If he's coming in as third choice, regardless of his experience or anything like that, they thought the best 3 scrum halves initially were Rhys Webb, Gareth Davies, and Lloyd Williams. So I'd stick to that pecking order. I know he's a big character, he's a big man, physical man, he's very experienced. But if they were going with their initial thoughts, that I would stick to the original pecking order, and I see Mike Phillips coming in and being involved against Fiji and maybe Australia if it comes. But no, they'd have gone with Rhys Webb and Gareth Davies as a replacement if Rhys Webb had been fit with Lloyd Williams on the sidelines. Now it's the ultimate promotion. I just think if they didn't think Mike Phillips was good enough for the original party, then just throw him into a game just because of his experience. It's not. I'd go for the former they thought and back their original decision.
I accept what Gareth says, but I must admit I did think they might put him on the bench just for that experience back up there in case Gareth Davies needs to have someone to come on who can just steady the ship a little bit. Remember Lloyd's a fine player, he's a lovely passer him, he's got a good sniping dummy. But I thought they might have gone to Phillips, but Gareth is right. They've stuck with the pecking order, and at the end of the day, John, it's the coach's call, isn't it?
Gaz, tell me about the 2013 factor. We were chatting yesterday, and you said every England press conference you've been to, no matter who's been speaking, they've all themselves mentioned and brought back the whole 2013 30 points to 3 incident in English rugby history. That's clearly still a big thing for them, yeah?
Yes, and this has surprised me this week. Tom Wood was the first to mention it, the flank earlier in the week. Then Stuart Lancaster and Chris Robshaw yesterday in their top table press conference both mentioned it unprompted. Now, why it surprises me is that since that game, they've beaten Wales twice, England, and that has included winning at the Millennium Stadium on a Friday night, the opening Six Nations, where the atmosphere couldn't have been more supercharged. But it obviously still rankles with them. And again today, Mike Brown mentioned it. He was asked about it on this game, but he said it still hurt. And Graham Rowntree said it was a defining moment for that group. Now, they obviously, what Chris Robshaw was trying to say yesterday, they want the Twickenham tomorrow night to be as supercharged as the Millennium Stadium was that night in March 2013. And it was. That remains for me, the game I was there, I've been at other Six Nations celebrations matches, that remains the most passionate atmosphere I've ever experienced at the Millennium Stadium when Wales won the title by winning by 30 points to 3. And England, Mike Brown said it again today, they want Twickenham to be, he echoed Chris Robshaw, they want it to be like that, a cauldron. Even though there's meant to be 20,000 Welsh fans going up with World Cup tickets and everything like that, their point was, well, therefore, Andy Fowler said, well, if there's 20,000 there, there's 62,000 Englishmen. So we want it to recreate that thing. But it has surprised me, the fact they're harping back to a game that was 2.5 years ago, and they've won the last 2 matches against Wales.
Yeah, I mean, Simon, you're a man of a certain age. You've been to plenty of big rugby matches.
What do you mean, John?
Plenty of big matches over the years. In terms of the atmosphere, the occasion, what it all means, do you expect this to rank at the very top tomorrow?
I thought about this morning, and I went through the Wales-England games that really stick out in my mind. And we had 2 World Cup quarterfinals, 87, 2003. I was in Brisbane, 2003. I'll never forget that one. We were leading at half-time. So I rang up the office, John. I said, book me a hotel for 2 more weeks. We're going to win the World Cup. Didn't happen, but it was good fun. That was one of the 6 in my mind. 94, there was a 5 nations, as it was then, title decider. It was a bit of an anticlimax in the end because Wales lost but won the trophy. Ian Evans having to hold it up, looking a bit confused about what was going on, really, because they just lost the game and they had a bit of silverware. And then, 19 years on from that, we had the 2013 game, which we've just talked about. Those are all huge games. But you know why I think this, in a way, is at another level? Is because the build-up for this game has been going on 3 years. We're talking December 2012. John, how many millions of words have you made me write on this game? All pearls of wisdom. But, basically, since the group of death was unveiled, December 2012, and I think it was about May 2013 that the fixture was confirmed in terms of the date and the venue, September 26, 2015. I mean, it's been on everyone's minds, and it's been at the back of people's minds. But you only have to look at all the other Wales games since. Every game, people have been asked, what impact will this have on the World Cup game? It's been there, like as a shadow over us for, 2.5, 3 years. And that I've never known an extended, protracted build-up to a game like that before. And I think that's what makes it, in my view, the biggest Wales-England match ever.
There we go. There we go. Can't get a bigger billing than that. Talk me through the first 10 minutes then briefly, guys. What will we expect to see? Jamie Roberts running down the usual channels?
Yeah, and get the ball the first scrum. There'll be a sort of a couple of seminal moments. I think first scrum, first high ball, because Wales have prided themselves on the aerial battle. England think they're coming back into it now. Someone like maybe a collision like Dan Biggar and Mike Brown going up for the same ball. The big hit that you're looking for. Burgess coming in with a big hit. Is it legal? Is it high? Has he got a swinging arm rugby league tackle? The offload from Burgess that people would be expecting, like Sonny Bill Williams that we saw against Fiji. The first break, the first Rob Shaw Warburton collision, maybe at the people say that Rob Shaw's not as good as Warburton at the breakdown, first penalty, but who gets the first turnover? Little things like that will define it. Wales can't start like they did last time we went to Twickenham 18 months ago. They started very slowly. They never really got back into the game, and they can't let the occasion get to them. And a lot of it, discipline would be key. Sean Edwards will be all about penalties. You can't foul. Is a very good goal kicker. You can't give him any chances, and you can't give him chances to get into the corner for the driving maul, which we talked about last night, has become the defining play of the tournament so far. So yeah, that first 10 minutes will set the scene, and then the momentum will be with either side.
2 words, John. First scrum, we win that, we win the game.
Oh, there we go. I think that was more than but there we go. Let's finish with some predictions then. Look at the bookies are telling me England are going to win. We've got a vote here that we're doing live now, and 76% of our readers say Wales will win. So where do you stand on that?
It's a funny one, because I must admit, after the injuries to Rhys Webb and Lee Halfpenny, he'll tell you I was as deflated as I've been whatever coming out of a Wales game. And I think the whole nation got really upset by the squad. It's difficult. You lose your mates, don't you, from a player's perspective, and I think we all sort of started to worry because we had the other injuries, Samson Lee, Liam Williams. But I must admit, as the days have gone on, and I've spent time in the Welsh camp and the English camp this week, I've gained an optimism, and I think we can win. I look at those two sides, and I think man for man, we can win. So I go for a Wales win, 26-22.
Okay, Gareth?
Over to you.
I shouldn't really have finished this off, but I just think home advantage is going to go, and I'm going to go England 25-20. I'm sorry, I know, but that's what I believe. England by 5.
Killjoy.
Well, there we go. That's what we're going to do. Thank you, chaps. Enjoyed that. Thanks for your input. Have a good evening and enjoy the game tomorrow, yeah?
No start.
All right, take care. Thank you all for joining us. Great to hear from the guys down there at Twickenham. Obviously, all the build-up here on Wales Online over the next 24 hours or so. And, of course, we'll be live from the match tomorrow night. Enjoy.